That's it, let's go, come on. Go get it. Awesome, you're on it, come on. So if we look maybe at improving your net game 2 levels. One is that technical level, right? On the simplest order, just open your base, man. Everybody can open, I'm telling you, everybody. If I watch Medvedev and Tiafoe come up and hit a lame split, I know that we can also understand that we've got to open our base. The challenge for us though is, and I'll tell you this, in terms of opening your base, is that when you're coming forward on an approach, it just seems so natural to maintain sort of that pacing compression. So just make sure as you come up, you're understanding that we want to come up and we want to build a base that allows us to make the fundamental footwork through there. Now let's talk about how do we get to the net. We want to get to the net more, but how do we get to the net? And I would ask you, how do you get to the net?
Usually just wait for like a short ball and go big.
Take a short ball, crank it, hit an approach, come forward, right? Yeah. I think there's 2 ways to get to the net. And I think that's an important way to get to the net because we have to develop that skill. You get a short ball. Sometimes we're required, based on our position on the court, we've got to come forward. And then there's some gray area depending on the level of your hands, the opponent you're playing, how much risk you want to take, what your strategy is that day. There's some gray area, okay, we're going to take this ball and we're going to come to the net because we want to use that tactic against our opponent. But in some respect, there's areas here we got to come to the net. Yeah. And that's called approaching. The problem with approaching is this: game's getting fast, game's getting heavy, people getting roasted. You come up to the net and you know it. There's people with great passing shots, great lobs, all the collection of the two, and you got to be good with it. You got to go to the weak stroke. You got to come to the line. Be careful of approaching cross court. All these dynamics are at play, right? And what it does is it keeps us away from the net. Those dynamics, because we know against players at our level or above, there's a chance we're gonna get toasted. And so you've got to be very wise with it. And so those opportunities are somewhat limited often for us, but we need to improve that. You're right, improve that. Take more chances. You want to become a better net player, take more chances. We need to carry our improvements with us, meaning there should be 1 day a week where you're just going, hey, today, at least 1 day a week, today's about coming to the net. I don't care what happens. Today is about coming to the net. I'm going to get to the net. These are the things I'm working at. If I'm not getting to the net, it's not a successful day. That itself is one way. Now, I would also say the approach is not the best way to get to the net anymore, or it's not the most effective way to get to the net. And if we stand over here for a second, I'll talk to you about this is the way every great player, and you see, it's like there was a time where everybody was coming to the net, then there was a time that nobody came to the net. And now you're seeing a resurgence in the net game, and it's for this one simple play right here. And this is the play everybody needs to build, everybody. And that is the stretch sneak. So I'm back here, I'm exchanging with my opponent, right? Eventually I hit a shot that's so good that I put my opponent into the stretch, right? Or I put them into such a disabled, weak position that I know out of that I'm going to get some sort of defensive ball back. Soon as I recognize that stretch coming from my opponent, I'm running forward. Because what am I going to get from there? A high ball, a disabled ball, right? Something that we can deal with easily. So again, that's going to give us tons of opportunity to use our volleys on balls that are weakened against us. It is the play. You look at somebody like Alcaraz, right? They're like, man, he's so good at the net. It's like 19 out of 20. How's he doing it? Well, mostly it's because he's in an offensive position, blasting a ball, recognizing the stretch, coming forward and taking balls that are just easy to finish and finishing. He's got unbelievable net skills. His approach game is wonderful. And at the same time, he's looking for the stretch nonstop. And you get to a certain level that you don't even have to see the opponent into stretch. You can hit a shot, you know the stretch is coming. Or you know that they're going to be in a position that's going to give you an opportunity to hit a great ball. The problem with this play is this: the approach is so intuitive. I know I got to go to the net. It makes sense. I'm in the middle of the court. It just makes sense that I'm going to take a ball and come here. It feels like I should come to the net. The stretch play often erupts from back here, though. This is why it's missed. We're going to talk about how it's missed, but it's missed so much because you're back here in exchange. I hit a great shot down the line. They're going into the stretch. It doesn't feel like I should run from here. It feels like it doesn't make sense. But once you start to have this play, then you go, okay, wait, that makes 100% sense. Yes, a lot of your volleys are going to come more from this mid-court space than they are from the up space, but they're going to be easier volleys. The approach is built on your recognition of your position. The stretch is built on your recognition of your opponent's position. And that's just a skill you got to develop. You got to start to look for it. And what you have to do is start to recognize when you've missed it. To me, that's the first step. Is I'm back here, I'm striking with someone, I put them in a stretch, I don't move forward, they give me a floating ball to the middle court, and I go, that was the opportunity. And I'd say probably one of the biggest mistakes people make before they start to recognize this play is this. Here I am, put the opponent in stretch, Take a little space forward, right? Don't take the opportunity. Now what do? They hit a floating ball through the middle of the court. Now I come up, I take the approach, and I get burnt. One shot too late. I call it missing the window. Window comes up, window closes, you run into the window. Here's how the play almost always erupts. And if you guys stand a little bit to the side, I'm gonna show you right here, okay? I'm here, I'm in an exchange, I stretch my opponent, right? I'm now moving forward on the stretch. Right about here is where they are hitting their weekend ball, right? I'm right about here. It's one of the rare times you're not gonna hit a sort of a stopping split. Typically, high-level players are gonna do maybe some sort of like floating split, maybe some sort of chug, or if you really got them broken, you might even just move through that moment very softly, right? Because you wanna keep your momentum flowing, because what happens out of this position, so you've made them move forward, they're on the stretch, they hit the weekend ball, you're right about here. Now, at the ideal tennis ball on the ground strokes is to take the ball at the peak of bounce. The ideal volley is to take the ball right at the shoulder and strike through it into the open space. It's the shoulder strike, I call it. Gets too low now, we gotta maybe hit a drop, we gotta try to push it into a deep space. We wanna catch it, and that typically is going to occur right here, maybe right here. So your job on the stretch, in terms of the full organization of the move, is this. I put them into the stretch, I'm coming forward, I hit my floating split, there it is, I go through a walking step and I finish. Specific footwork. What we want is that walking step move. And by the walking step move, I mean this. We're forward, we plant forward into an open stance, and then the hit and the step happen at the same time. So it's a specific footwork. It's not like a lot of people think. It's not some sort of like close stance shot. It is a up, here, drive. It's a push on that outside foot as we make a strike with the hand. On the backhand, it's the same thing. It's here, here. I would say on the backhand, the push off the outside foot is even more important, because the backhand's the way it just works with the rotation and the back of the shoulder, that you really got to get load and push and often maybe run through a karaoke after. Here's how we're gonna work on it. With the stretch and the approach, I like to often just cut out the first ball. Let's just work on, from here, the movement into the shoulder strike with the open stance, or the walking stance into the open space. It's good to have an understanding of targets, right? Like in a way, like it's a great way to open up the game. You get to a certain level and those targets are inside you and you're playing energy games with your opponent. But what I like to say is, look, we're looking at 3 parts of the court: a defensive red zone, a neutral sort of yellow zone, and now we're up in the green zone, attack zone. When we're up in that space, our job is to get it down a road. And I don't mean actually this line that I've built. Everything to the right of this is the road. So now you've stretched them over there. Your job now is to go find the ball at the shoulder and just work it down this road. Okay, ready? Let's go. Good, let's do it again, come. That's it, let's go, come on. Go get it. Awesome, you're on it, come on. You're on it, it looks good, and I'll tell you this, watch the length of the build. Even though we want to work on this, right? A little bit cleaner hand grab. To me, the setup is too large. So because of that, you're getting too much. You don't need so much. You got the open space. I know you're working on this idea. You got the open space. Get on the ball, don't get behind the ball. That's it, that's sharp, let's go. Wonderful. I'm gonna tell you I built the road too tight, but let's go. That's it. Let's go get it. In front, yeah, get on that ball, get on that ball. That's better, get on that ball. Good, don't pull it back, you don't need to pull it back. Move through it with the frame. That's it, come on. It's good. To me, you're just overcooking, and you're working on your handwork, so it's natural. You're working on your handwork, everything's just overcooking a little bit. It's fine, you understand the play. Bring the overcook down a little bit. Again, what I would say is this, be on the ball. Here, get on the ball. You're just a little behind the ball. Let's go. That's it. Come on. Awesome. That's it. That's awesome. Let's go. Great. Now, if it drops, you got to take a little off and massage it a little bit more. Go get it. Great. You got some good ones there. And hey, I'll tell you this, hand look cleaner. If you have an understanding how to use it, improve the hands. Watch the setup. And I think for people who are a little blocky, guess what? People who are a little punchy, they're probably building too far back because the body wants to make up for the fact that they're not letting the hand move. But it look great, okay? Yeah. Work on cleanliness of hand and work on this play.
That volley, I mean, it feels super different from when you're at the net, and
Yes.
that's like, for guys that just practice sets.
Yep.
You don't warm up volleys from the middle of the court.
Nope.
You plant yourself right here.
Exactly.
With short cuts. So like that's, you say about missing the window. I feel a lot of people are just not comfortable hitting that type of volley.
Of course.
So they know that it's a good opportunity to move forward. There's just no confidence in that.
In that volley right there. That's why this has to be systematically built. One, it has to be, you get somebody feeds you some balls like this, right?
Yeah.
And you just get used to this play, and now we're gonna build it from the baseline. You're gonna hit a forehand, I'm gonna give you a float, because it's a floating ball, right? It's like regular volleys, you're getting the pace from your opponent. And so you're here. You have to create some pace here.
Yeah.
But you have the open court. So you don't have to create as much pace as maybe you think. But in the end, what you need are cuts on this. You need reps on this. You need to take your chances. When you recognize the stretch, come forward, and you're gonna, like the handwork there was awesome. I loved the line of the cut. It was sharp. If anything, just a little big, and you're just gonna have to do more, right? So let's take it, so you just took the forward, same position. I'm here, you stretched your opponent over here. Now you get the float to this side. They're over there, right? Get one here, take it there. And of course, we have to learn also to go behind a player. Sometimes it's not as stretchy as we think. They're got their beat on their return and recovery, and maybe we go behind them. But for now, to me, standard is just from both sides, get good at taking the forehand or backhand into the open space. Good, and go that way. That's nice though, come on. Awesome, bud. Jinxed you. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much. Thanks, bud, seriously. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, man. Loved having you here.